Scotland missed 100% clean electricity consumption in 2020 by only 1.4%.
Here's a summary of the article.
In 2011, Scotland set a target of reaching 100% clean electricity consumption in 2020. Last year, the country almost reached its target. 98.6% of gross electricity consumption came from renewable sources, according to the Scottish Government's December energy statement. Scotland, which is working to achieve net zero by 2045, a legally binding target, has one of the most ambitious climate targets in the world. In 2019, Scotland met 90.1% of its equivalent electricity consumption from renewables, according to Scottish Government figures. Energy Target's latest target, overall renewable energy target. Total Scottish energy consumption from renewables 25.4% in 2020, 50% by 2030 renewable electricity target. Gross electricity consumption from renewables 98.6% in 2020, 100% by 2020 renewable heat target. Non-electrical heat demand from renewables 6.3% in 2020, 11% by 2020 energy consumption target. Reduction in total energy consumption from 2005 to 07 down 14.4% in 2020, 12% by 2020 energy productivity target. Percentage change in gross value added achieved from the input of 1 gigawatt-hour of energy from 2015 down 5.9% in 2020, up 30% in 2030. 61.8% of all electricity generated in Scotland in 2020 was from clean energy sources. Whilst we do have many challenges ahead of us if we are going to meet our ambitious targets, we have laid the groundwork in 2021 for Scotland to take important leaps forward towards net zero.
This post received a score of 26,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
It was Dundee, right? Jute, jam, and just burn in a few albino annuals TAE run the generators.
Sorry lads, Dundonian here, left my heater on 1 bar too many.
Only acceptable answer.
It's important to bring up because anyone seeing the stat in this headline would rightfully questions why we still have fossil fuel plants and nuclear plants running when renewables are producing almost all our electricity. The stat in the headline, while technically true, is misleading because that generation wasn't done when the electricity was needed, so non-renewable sources were needed to generate electricity when people were actually needing it. Imagine you had a wind turbine capable of producing 100 megawatts a week in a house that required 50 megawatts a week. One week the wind was blowing strong and the wind turbine produced 100 megawatts. The next week the wind doesn't blow, so the wind turbine produces 0 megawatts, but the house still needs 50 megawatts, so that is supplied by a fossil fuel plant. Over the 2-week period the wind turbine produced 100 megawatts and the house consumed 100 megawatts, so you can say that wind turbine's generation was 100% of the house's electricity demand.
It's a relatively isolated grid that doesn't benefit from hydroelectricity, so the technical challenges of grid inertia, storage etc. are more acute for them, and they are currently testing what it takes to be truly 100% renewable. One of the key elements is synchronous condensers, spinning machines that imitate the physical properties of traditional generators and stabilize the grid. They are also introducing grid-forming inverters, which perform similar functions. They are also pioneers in large batteries, of course.
Interesting. Synchronous condensers are going out of fashion and being replaced with static VAR compensators in North America.
Thanks, I didn't know about that. Any resource you'd recommend?
Mostly a couple Google searches, I suppose. Synchronous condensers do the job just fine, but the maintenance hours required to keep them going is quite intensive. I won't beat around the bush. Some makes of SVC aren't much better with their cooling systems for the thyristors, but some SVC are proving to be a much better alternative to condensers.
That looks like some creative accounting. 100% consumption, but yet the generation is 61%.
Sorry, this comes up a bit. It's about how you do your maths. Scotland is a net exporter of energy, so the amount produced by renewables in Scotland this year has covered 98.6% of Scotland's energy demand for the year. However, frequently the instantaneous generation of wind in Scotland is much higher than Scottish demand, so it gets exported to England where it can be used and power stations turned off or down. However, you can't store this wind-generated power, so when wind is low, power is generated by other non-renewable means, such as Peterhead Power Station, which is within Scotland. In terms of selling it, the GB grid is integrated, so you don't sell it to another country per se, and GB demand gets balanced by supply without real preference given to which country is the source other than network limitations.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.